Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. You can find me, Eric Huysman, at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Let's start over. No, I guess we can't. Brett,
no, we can't start over. You can't throw it to me and start over. This is H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. Hey, Siri, I've got a question for you. I'm
not sure I understand.
What did Jose Siri do in the game tonight? Hey, Siri, what did Jose Siri do in the game tonight?
Jose Siri went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs against the Rangers today.
All right, and that wasn't all. The Astros kicked some butt tonight, and we're going to have to talk about that and more on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast because Yordan Alvarez also tied somebody for history. He had 2 home runs, and we'll talk about that. And I'm sure that our friend Soli over at the Locked On MLB podcast will be definitely talking about this because the Astros scored 15 runs, and at last I checked, the game is over. Yimi Garcia did not blow the lead. He had a 14-run lead. He did not blow the lead. Breaking news. You heard it here on the Locked On Astros podcast. I see a lot of people joining us live. So, this is a great game. And we're going to be talking about this. We'll be talking about tomorrow's game. And we'll also be saying happy trails to one Jacob Wilson. We had a great run, buddy, but unfortunately he cleared waivers and he's no longer a Houston Astro, but there had to be room on the 40-man roster for Zack Greinke, who's going to be added to the 40-man roster because Marwin Gonzalez needs to be on this team and Jose Siri is making a name for himself to be on the team. But it could be a discussion that we got to have. Jose Siri was looking like the guy that had to go down, but
sometimes it be like that. Sometimes it be like that. It may have to be like because now let's temper the emotions here. It is one game, but it's his first start, and he pimped that home run. I mean, He hit an absolute laser, and he was doing that in Sugarland. I don't know if you remember, he had a home run and he did a bat flip where he tossed his bat 30 feet in the air. This guy is a showman. Like Ryan Posner with the Sugarland Skeeters said, he is a 12-year-old in a 26-year-old man's body. This guy's waited 8.5 years to get to the pros, and he's here. And he's making a statement. I loved when he was on first base and he basically went to steal and then who is golly, I sit there and I forget the lineup. Garrett Stubbs hit the single and he was at third like that. I mean, the dude is so fast and he's got a swagger. He's got the attitude you want on this team because he's worked so hard to get here. I love these stories. Woody Williams was sort of like that when he came up in pitching in the major leagues, had pitched 9 years in the minors, but he was a pitcher, so it's a less kind of exciting type player. But Jose Siri has got 4 for 5, Eric, 2 home runs. I mean, what a game. And he wasn't the only one going off. Like you said, Yordan Alvarez. He became the youngest player to hit 30 home runs, right?
Yeah. So before we get to Yordan Alvarez, there's a whole article today in the Chronicle about Siri, and apparently it was Dusty Baker who kind of had the idea of bringing him on. And there's a lot of comparisons. Dusty Baker the other day said that he reminds him of Cesar Cedeno. This is a former Astros great. And before that, the Reds let him go. He said that Baker talked to some people and he said, well, some of the Reds people are calling him Eric Davis Jr. and maybe not with the same power, but that's he said he was trying to hit like Eric and it wasn't working. So he changed his batting stance to combat his weaknesses. He was performing well at AAA level Well, we'll just have to see, and hopefully he can contribute. So the Astros don't need him to slug like that, but he just look at what he did today. This guy has the power. He has the speed. We've already seen him steal some bases. We've seen him with that hustle, and we see him with that passion. That's something that we haven't really seen ever since George Springer has kind of left the team. Yeah, Carlos Correa still has that kind of that little passion a little bit. Alex Bregman is kind of bringing it back a little bit, but George Springer was the heart and soul of this team. And when he left, that team, it kind of lost some of that mojo. But Siri looks like somebody who can kind of bring that back up a little bit. And he stole 24 or 27 bases this year with the Sugarland Skeeters, and he's been caught 49 times in his career. His career total is up to 179. So This guy is somebody who can steal some bases. This could be a guy in the playoffs you can use as a speedy runner. But the question is, how long is he going to be up here? I mean, after going, what did Siri say? He went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and how many RBIs? But Chas McCormick is up here.
5 RBIs.
Yeah. And then
Chas McCormick is. And here's the thing. So we've got Jose Siri. We've got Jake Myers. We've got Chas McCormick. You have all 3 guys that could legitimately compete for center field. And then you also have, there's this other guy, I'm sure you've heard of him, Pedro Leon, who was originally supposed to be the future center fielder. So now you've got a surplus. You've got a grade A competition in the offseason after the Astros win their second World Series. And then you have this amazing choice to make. Who do you keep? Who do you get rid of? Who do you use? Do you use someone in a trade? I mean, there's so many mind-numbing. It's like, can we add a 4th outfielder like softball so that we can keep all these outfielders?
I
you see what I'm saying?
don't think that they're going to trade any of their outfield depth, especially how the season started.
I'm just saying,
if
you have 3 guys that are gunning for one position, you can only keep them down so long. You're going to have to rule 5 somebody, or you're going to have to offload. I'm just talking about. We had this surplus, and it creates it's a good problem to have.
Okay. Y'all are probably not going to like this right now, but Chas McCormick has not looked great since he's come back. Jake Myers is in the middle of a mini slump. He's not. He's not hitting.
Yeah, no,
he's not doing what he was doing earlier.
Well,
Jose Siri is up here tearing up the ball. He's batting .556. Granted, it's a small sample size.
It's his first start.
Right. It's his first start.
One start. So like I said, now I love it though. And I know it's against the Rangers, and I know it's a Cellar team, and I know we're at Home Depot Stadium or whatever it's called. But you love seeing what you saw today in that Alvarez getting his 2 hits, Gurriel getting 2 hits, Bregman getting 2 hits, Altuve, then Siri adding 4. Everybody got a hit except for Diaz, who came in and pinch hit. But everybody got on the board, and Marlon Gonzalez. But I don't think
Myers didn't get hit. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yeah, Myers did not get a hit. So you had a few guys not get hits, but this is a complete team win. 16 hits, 15 RBIs. I mean, dude, let's just hope they save some runs for tomorrow, right?
Right. So we're going to talk about the roster decisions, because I know a lot of y'all are asking about, so can we add Montero to the 60-day IL, stuff like that. So stick around. We'll talk about that in a second. And I bet there could be some interesting decisions, especially what's going on with Odorizzi, because we haven't even talked about Odorizzi. But let's talk about betonline.ag.
Yeah, betonline.ag is your online sportsbook experts, and we all saw this week how the Texans put on display their 1-0 record and their improbable run to the Super Bowl in 2021. Go to betonline, the number one sport for all pro and college football action. With the new and updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, betonline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, baseball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available in the 2021 season. Bet online, the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. Bet online, your online sportsbook experts. Use a promo code Locked On.
Ironically, Dusty Baker said before the game that Jose Siri only got the start today over Chaz McCormick because of the dimensions of Globe Life Field. And he said that he'd rather have Siri speed out there to kind of cover the distance and everything. But I don't know. This is going to be a tough decision. I was doing a green room earlier, and I was kind of saying that I think that Siri is going to be going down because they need to add a roster spot. And I know let's talk a little bit before we go into the outfield decision, because there may be a roster decision may have been done for us. So let's talk about Jake Odorizzi today before we go into the roster move. So he was looking decent. I know he threw 29 pitches in the first inning, but he didn't allow any runs. He did allow 2 runners on base. But then in the second inning, he did cover first base, and he looked fine. He made a great play. But then when he went back to the mound, he threw a pitch and kind of grimaced. And then Carlos Correa called the trainer out to the mound. Then everybody went out there, and he couldn't throw another pitch. And apparently he has right foot discomfort.
Well, yeah, it was his foot, and it was on the play where he went to cover first. Right.
That's what I said, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but the thing is, when he stepped, like, it didn't look like anything happened. I mean, it just like in regular time. So I was like, oh, this is Dusty's chance to pull him early. I was joking. I didn't think he was going to be walked off the field like that.
Right.
But Christian Javier came in, and, Christian Javier, I'm telling you, ever since he has been in that relief pitching role, I mean, he did have 6 strikeouts. He only gave up 1 run.
He pitched much better today.
He did pitch much better.
I think he smelled blood in the water and said, hey, if Odorizzi is hurt, this is my chance to join this 6-man rotation.
I mean, you could easily make him, like, if you don't want him starting during the season, you can make him like an opener. Like, start him like 2 or 3 innings just to go. That's a different mentality. When you take a guy from a starting role to a relief pitching role, you've got to pitch a guy every 3 to 4 days. Right. They've been pitching him every 7 to 10 days. Right. You can't get in a rhythm. So no wonder why Christian Javier struggled. He struggled because they've set him up for failure, not success.
Right. So here is the dilemma the Astros are in right now. I know that they've offloaded Jacob Wilson. He cleared waivers, so they outrighted him off the 40-man roster. So they have a open roster spot. So that doesn't help on the active roster. So they have 26 roster spots right now. So now they have they can add Greinke to the 40-man roster, but now they need to clear a spot on the actual active roster spot. So Brandon Belak, you can take him off the active roster. The only other pitcher I can think of is nobody, unless Jake Odorizzi is hurt enough that they put him on the IL. But you know what the Astros like to do? They like to do the day-to-day type of thing. And unless they go and they do a MRI or something, and they decide that there's something that's really wrong with him, and then they'll say, okay, we want to put him on IL, or they just want to say, hey, we want this guy ready for the playoffs, and they just go ahead and put him on IL anyway. So yes, but Mr. Corona, we don't need an actual spot right now for that. That's when Taylor Jones comes back. So, but now we're clear.
But what he's saying is, if you put Montero and Baez on the 60-day IL, wouldn't that clear 2 roster spots?
Yes, but we're about to talk about that. But okay, we're talking about the immediate future, which is Greinke coming tomorrow. Taylor Jones and Andre Scrub are on the rehab assignment right now with the Sugarland Skeeters, and they will have to be added to the 40-man roster once they are healthy. So yes, you will have to be adding them. So yes, that will be a decision. Also, Robel Garcia is somebody that now that you have Marwin Gonzalez in fold, you can go and go ahead and DFA Robel Garcia, and then decide what to do there. So that you can also, I don't see them. I really don't see them putting a Baez on the. I don't really know which ones hurt the mostest I don't know if that's a word,
That
but
no, that's not. I'm not an English teacher, but that's not a word. No, sorry.
I don't know which which ones hurt the most, but I don't see them putting both of them on the 60-day IL because that would basically put them out throughout the whole
Mm.
playoffs. So I think they're going to have to really evaluate which ones hurt the most. But one of those guys would probably have to be put on IL, but that would be a good way to open up another spot for Andre Scrub to be added to the 40-man roster. But that would have to be another move.
Now, to kind of talk about like all these moves, we are basically trying to see where this sets us up going into the playoffs. And right now we're 5 games behind the Rays for the number 1 seed. I don't know if you know I don't know if you've been following the Rays, but they're basically falling apart right now.
Are they a baseball
Um,
team?
they are a baseball team. They're in the Bay of Tampa in Florida. They've lost like 2 in a row. They're like 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're not looking good. We are right at 84 wins. They're at 89 wins. And Eric, I think I've said all along, I wouldn't mind the number 2 seed because then that means that we would probably get, I'm assuming the White Sox, and then whoever the wild card is, that would play the winner of the number 1 seed.
Right.
My thing is, if the Rays get beat in that first round and they're the number 1 seed, home field advantage goes to us because we're the top seed after that. So I don't know it's important for us to get the number 1 seed. I don't know what that looks like, but because right now, dude, let me tell you something. Toronto is serious, man. Toronto leads in the wild card by a half game over Boston, and the Yankees are a half game out. I mean, even with their comeback win today against the Twins. Oh, I was like, are you whistling?
I'm
Oh,
whistling.
are you trying to cheat, Eric?
Yeah, I'm
Are
trying
you
to
a
cheat.
cheater?
Yes. Sorry.
You stinking cheater, you. How horrible, how morally wrong are you to be a cheater?
Sorry.
Good Lord. Yeah,
Sorry.
whistling from the dugout, really? That's lame. Like you have to
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, here, hold on. So
I
the
wouldn't do that.
Yankees,
I'm AJ Hinch. I would not do that.
the Yankees, the only way they could beat the Twins is by having a whistling, sign-stealing cheater in their dugout. That is so beneath the Yankees to win like that. How terrible. I mean, the moral bastion and the moral lighthouse of Major League Baseball, the Yankees, Derek Jeter's Yankees are cheaters now. Wow,
I just
I'm
can't.
so upset.
I can't believe how far the A's have fallen. I
Oh,
mean,
I
it's just
can. They're paper champs. Hey, Larry the GM was talking about this earlier, and he was getting on to Sully about this. And I'm kind of believing what he's selling now because he said they've got a ton of holes, Eric. They've got a ton of holes. And the A's put up a good fight, but they were more pretenders than contenders, I think, in the end. And I think they've just been exposed.
yeah. So I was having a little trouble watching the game earlier, and I was kind of wishing I had DirecTV. So tell me a little bit about DirecTV.
So does this sound familiar? You got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means you are not juggling remotes, and there's no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. That's right. So get rid of the clutter, get rid of the confusion, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
So my mom needed a new wiper blades before the storm came, and so she finally got it fixed. But if she would have gone rockauto.com and got it, then taken it to mechanic, then maybe she would have got it faster.
Yeah, rockauto.com is a family-owned business. They've been around for 20 years. Why spend 30, 50, sometimes 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership when you can go right to your computer? You can type in rockauto.com, type in your year, your make, your model. No need to just go to the counter and just ask the guy behind the counter to look up in his computer the small database that he has of a couple parts that they cater to, these companies, and like, oh, we're sorry we have it. But if they do have it, you pay like 100% more than you would anywhere else. So go to rockauto.com. I've been there. They have an easily navigable website. It's easy to follow. Their drop-down menus are pristine, and I love websites that are user-friendly. When you buy the parts you need for your car, whether it's new carpet, whether it's tail lamps, whatever it is, in the how did you hear about us box, right? Locked On, so that they know that we sent you. Rock Auto, amazing selection, reliable low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com.
All righty then. What you've all been waiting for. Yordan Alvarez, the king himself, did it today. He hit 2 home runs to reach the magical number of 30. The last one was traveled 422 feet, and he was pumped. Michael Brantley was pumped. Alex Bregman
Oh
was pumped.
man.
Everybody is rooting for this kid. This
Yes.
is a guy that's doing stuff that people are his age are not supposed to be doing. This is impressive. So tell us about what Alvarez is doing.
Well, what's he doing? He's hitting 30 home runs faster than any Houston Astros player in the history of the franchise.
Right.
The history of the storied Houston Astros, the greatest club to ever roam the planet. Yordan Alvarez now sits atop of the home run Mount Rushmore of the young Astro players. And this guy, dude, he's even legging out singles. Like
Right.
he's even legging out infield stuff. The dude is a beast. He's got a glove. And when he slides, watch out. I wouldn't want to be the catcher, him sliding into home. That dude's like a freaking tight end out of Auburn University. I mean, like kind of like what Frank Thomas was in college football. That would be Yordan Alvarez if he played football. He would be an absolute beast. I love it. But what I love more than anything about Yordan, Eric, is his quiet, like he's this giant, but he's quiet. He's got like this quiet strength. And he just is like
quiet
this
cockiness. He's starting to get this cockiness. Like when he's going around this, he doesn't quite have the like the bow and arrow like Siri does, but he's starting to get the little the cockiness as he's going around the field.
Because he knows he doesn't even have to hit anything on like an arch angle. He just hits it and it goes straight out of the park.
Right.
Like just like his second home run. Did you see it? It was a freaking laser.
Right.
And I haven't seen ball. Let me tell you, when I was a kid growing up, my dad would take me to Arlington because we weren't an American League team to go watch the Oakland A's, the Bass brothers, Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, right? Watching Jose Canseco hit a home run in Old Rangers Stadium, I have not seen a whole lot of power like that. Yordan Alvarez, to me, has that power, and he's not using steroids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was roid aided. This is pure Cuban Missile power. Period.
Right. So he now joins Alex Bregman as the youngest players to reach 30 home runs. Bregman did it in 2018. He was 24 when he had 31 home runs. Alvarez now has 30 home runs during his age 24 season, and the season isn't even over yet. So it's just amazing how good this guy is. And I think we've been kind of talking about it. He's kind of underachieved to a certain extent this year. He could be so much better than he is. And I think I think this guy could be a 50 home run hitter. You just said it. You just said it. I think he's just now realizing how much better he can become.
I can go with that. Yeah. In other words, I think for him, I think the only way he goes is pretty much up from here.
Right.
I mean, he is now, so now he's ranked 20th with home runs, with 30 home runs. I mean, he's now in the park with the big boys. And Eric, this guy's got 58 home runs in his career. He's got 58 home runs and 790 at bats. His career average is 295. His career OPS is 962. His OPS right now is 891. He's 6 RBIs away from 100. I mean, thank you, Dodgers. Do you realize you traded us for was it Josh Hill? Was it that guy's name?
Josh Fields.
Josh Fields. I didn't know his name. Like the dude with the long hair.
And Josh Hill forever.
Well, Rich Hill, Josh Fields. You mix them together, they're both crappy pitchers.
Alrighty.
But that's like awesome. And I thanked some Dodgers fans this weekend that I met. I said, thank you for the gift of Yordan Alvarez.
Right. Overall, Alvarez had 3 RBIs, but Siri, let's get back to Siri. I know that he played left field, then he went to right field. But did you know that he also made history, and not just Astros history? He made MLB history today. You ready?
Well, tell me what it is. Tell me. Yeah,
right.
Bring it.
Hey, Siri. Jose Siri of the Astros is the first MLB player to have 4+ hits and 5+ RBIs in his first career start since RBI became an official stat in 1920.
Move aside, Babe Ruth. Here comes Jose Siri. That's awesome, man. I mean, God dang it, dude.
Somebody agrees with you.
What's that, Josh?
Fields.
Yeah,
Josh Fields, Josh Hill,
who the hell is
whatever,
Josh Fields? I didn't.
So
that's right.
Basically, Hunter Brown threw tonight for the Sugarland Skeeters. He had 6 1/3 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts. Guess who the catcher was?
Jason Castro.
And guess who was playing in the field? Taylor Jones. And at one point, Taylor Jones and Jason Castro were like 6 for 6 or something, I believe.
Wow.
I need to check that, but they were both having a great night, and so they look like they're doing pretty good. So the Astros are going to have some interesting decisions, but it's good to see everything kind of coming together for the Astros. But this was a game that they needed, but I don't want them to fall in that rut of coming back the next day and scoring 1 run,
I know. Well, everybody says that, but they did against the Mariners. They scored double digits 2 games in a row. I mean, they can do it. This is the Texas Rangers. Their pitching is terrible. So Eric, now the lead on the West is 7 games. But think about this, and we haven't really talked about them a whole lot. The emergence or the reemergence of Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, and I don't know. I think if you have a pulse, and if you're even just a drive-by baseball fan, Alex Bregman is hitting better than I've seen him hit all year long. He is hitting with confidence.
Healthy. Go ahead.
He's healthy, but he's seeing the ball well. He's making good contact.
Now keep on going.
Eric, I know he's healthy, but his mechanics weren't great before.
He's healthy.
Okay.
No, that all leads to it.
Yeah.
He was not comfortable because he wasn't healthy. His mechanics were off because he wasn't healthy.
True.
He was trying to make adjustments. I'm trying to justify everything you're saying by saying he's
health.
healthy now.
Yeah, because he kept getting injured and re-injured. You're right. He looks like he's having fun. He looks like he's enjoying himself. It's just fun to see, because when this team and Jose Altuve seems to be reinvigorated with some life,
right?
This team catches fire.
When Altuve has those multi-hit games, that's when things are looking good. When Altuve goes, the Astros go. When Altuve's not hitting, that's when they start struggling.
Exactly. And Mr. Corona says the 2020 pre-quad injury Bregman are no more. That's right. And the Astros just need to win the series. They just need to take the series, take the game tomorrow. It's a short road trip. They're back home this coming weekend. And, we've got our last several games, our last 9 games are against Oakland, Tampa, and Oakland. And so Oakland's going to come out fighting. But I think I kind of have a prediction here. I think the Astros are going to have a double-digit lead on the division once they play Oakland next.
Oh, you think so? So I have a question. I talked about this with Johnny on the Green Room, the Spotify Green Room earlier, and it was an interesting decision. After all the success that Jake Odorizzi had with Martin Maldonado, that he started Garrett Stubbs. I know that Maldonado needs an off day, and I know that he was trying to just see if Garrett Stubbs would work. But with all the success, why switch things up? Does anybody have a good answer in the discussion in the chat?
Here's the answer. They have a plan of when to sit players. It doesn't matter who's pitching. It doesn't matter matchups. If Maldonado if it says Maldi day off, I don't care what goes on. Maldi's got the day off. That's
Right.
what I've learned. And I mean, he is old school. He's a creature of habit. I went back and watched the pregame press conference with Dusty Baker, and Chandler Rome asked Dusty Baker 4 times, how's Michael Brantley? And Dusty Baker, I guess there was a delay. Something was wrong with the video. And like Chandler Rome was noticeably getting like kind of frustrated. And then Mark Berman goes, so now that we really don't know what's going on with Brantley, do you expect him? Are you worried about him going on the IL? And he's like, man, I told you I don't worry. And like he gave them nothing. Like
Right.
thoughts by Dusty, he literally gave them nothing. And that little pregame presser lasted like 5 minutes. It was
Right.
2 questions about Brantley and it was done. So there's something they're not telling us about Brantley. But I'll tell you this, guys. Don't worry. They're going to get him right. They're going to get him well. They're going to do what they need to. He'll be
Well,
ready for the playoffs.
the
This team will go
emergence
deep.
of Jose Siri may help them weather the storm. And speaking of weathering the storm, just shout out to everybody who's going to be facing Hurricane Nicholas. It is a hurricane now, and it's going to be hitting the coastline. Brett and I are pretty close to the coastline. So prayers to everybody. So I do want to read a little quote from Jose Siri on reading that stat I just told you earlier about him being the first. And this is what Jose Siri, and this is what only Jose Siri can say. I feel really happy. I feel really proud of myself. That's what Jose Siri said after that. And
I think Jose's English is okay. A friend of mine who knows Jose Siri tells me he's about 20 to 40% where like he can speak it, but he doesn't speak it like he doesn't have a majority of the vocabulary. He understands it very well. And so yeah, I mean, that dude's on cloud 9. I mean, that dude's celebrating tonight,
Dusty Baker pointing out that Jose Altuve has scored 101 runs so far this season. I would not have even noticed that. And I know that Carlos Correa is pretty close to scoring 100 runs himself. Dusty Baker also said lost in the shuffle was Carlos Correa's 2-run double in the first inning. I put that in notes. I didn't even mention it because everything got lost in the shuffle with all the hoopla with the 2 homer nights by Alvarez and Siri.
And Jose Altuve is trying to move up the board when it comes to like career doubles. He moved one closer to Jose Cruz on the career double list, and he's also moving up on some other offensive list all time. He's doubles and home runs. He is actually 3 behind Cedeno in 8th spot, and he's 6th behind Jose Cruz. He's got 334 doubles after tonight. There was a question we had here, and someone, Thomas says, hey, can the Astros get to 100 wins? Well, if they do, they have to go 16-3. They have to go 16-3 to get to 100 wins because they have 84. So they got to win 16. They can't. Eric, are you saying they are?
No, they can, but I don't think they are. It's mathematically possible. They can technically win 100
well, they can win 103 games. They can go 19-0. But I don't want my team going 19-0 because if they go 19-0, that's when you fall victim to falling flat.
Yeah.
So okay. So the last 19 games, how many games do you think they win?
I'm going to stick to I think my preseason pick was 95 wins. I think that's why I said. So I think they need to win 11 more games.
Okay.
So if they win 11 games, I think that's more than enough to stay ahead of the Oakland A's for the AL West. That's not going to be enough to catch the Rays, I don't think. But I think that's enough to wrap up the AL West.
So, well, I think if they go with 97, I can't remember what I predicted. I don't know if I changed my prediction.
No, you said like 91 or 92, if I remember correctly, because you're a little bit.
I thought I went okay. I was
you're a little bit lower than me.
Okay. Yeah. Usually I'm the positive one, and you're the more conservative. But
you can go back and listen to the show.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, real quickly,
thoughts by Dusty.
Here's Dusty on Jake Odorizzi. He stepped on the bag and couldn't put any weight on it. He's being analyzed.
I love how you do the long pauses. Like Like he doesn't do that in the press conference, but you like make this caricature. I
So
can't get over your tone. It's so great. And here's the thing, Eric, with that. You hope it's nothing serious. More than
right.
likely it's not. But I was really pulling for Odo to go 7 innings tonight. I really was. I was like, this is a game, especially when they scored those 7 runs. I'm like, this is a perfect game for him to go the distance. And gosh darn it, if he did not go. And what is up with our farm system still being ranked so low? Have you seen what Brian De La Cruz is doing in Miami?
Yeah, but like I said, it's not about the farm system as a whole. It's about the top prospects, and the
True,
Astros
true.
never had the top sexy prospects, and that's why. Dusty Baker also said he's unsure right now if the Astros would need to call up a fresh arm because they did have to use basically seven and 2/3 innings of relievers today. So they may have to call up. So Brandon Belak may be going down anyway, and they may have to be sending down like Chaz McCormick or somebody anyway, because I don't know if you can send Siri down after this situation. So we'll have to see. Dusty Baker and the Astros have a very big, interesting decision. So
They
I
do.
know in tomorrow's game, it's going to be Zack Greinke, or I guess today's game, it's going to be Zack Greinke versus Jordan Lyles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to see how deep Greinke is going to be allowed to go, because remember, he is coming off of having COVID. I know his symptoms were mild, he said, but he did have COVID. He hasn't. I don't think he's pitched in a game. So this is going to be something that's going to be different situation for him. So any closing thoughts? Hey, Siri.
No, I mean, what a fun game to watch. And just, closing thoughts. If y'all are listening to us, whether you're watching us on YouTube on your phone or you're listening to us and you do have to drive around in this rain, please be safe. Please be careful. We know you guys are in our thoughts and prayers. We appreciate the Locked On Astros Nation because you guys are why we do what we do. So definitely, we just hope that everybody is dry and everything power stays on and you're just able to make it through this, because things can change in a minute here in Texas, but we are Houston strong and we are Texas strong. Go Astros.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. And don't forget, go check out the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling. And he'll have all the bets, including what's going to happen in tomorrow's Astros game. Go Stros, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.